Hello, this is 5 on 20 News with Rich Aguirre, coming to you live from our studio in downtown Tucson. It's Thursday, August 17th. Let's talk local headlines. Well, it's official. Donald Trump is coming to Phoenix. Trump will hold a rally at the Phoenix Convention Center on Tuesday at 7 p.m. This will be Trump's first visit since, the thing. If you want to attend for some reason, you'll need to register for tickets at donaldjtrump.com. Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton wrote in a statement yesterday that he was disappointed to learn of Trump's visit, so close to the violent events of Charlottesville. Stanton called on Trump to delay the visit. Something tells me he won't listen. Stanton wrote, if President Trump is coming to Phoenix to announce a pardon of former Sheriff Jeff Arpaio, then it will be clear that his true intent is to inflame emotions and further divide our nation. Trump told Fox News that this week he's considering a pardon of Arpaio, who was found guilty of criminal attempt after disobeying a judge's order. Arpaio was ordered by the judge to stop the use of his immigration posse, who were accused of racial profiling. As our president puts it, they were doing God's work. Arizona lawmakers and public figures are weighing in on the president's response to last week's violence in Charlottesville. Representative Martha McSally tweeted on Tuesday that white supremacy or any form of racism, bigotry, violence, domestic terrorism has no place in America. The tweet came days after Democratic lawmakers called on McSally to respond to Trump. Meanwhile, Doug Martin, the owner of a group of Christian radio stations in Tucson, said that Trump must repent humbly or resent. He must have forgot that Trump doesn't do anything humbly, and if he did repent, he would likely call it the greatest repent ever. Martin, who owns the stations KVOI and K-Love, said he was shocked and disappointed by Trump's comments on Tuesday, where the president appeared to equate white supremacists to left-wing protesters. Trump has come under fire for comments as many thought that he didn't fully hold the white supremacists responsible for the violence. Trump said that they were very fine people at the rally, and the anti-fascist protesters was killed when a member of the Unite the Rally drove a car into the crowd. Meanwhile, former Governor Jan Brewer defends Trump against what she was against constant media scrutiny. Brewer appeared on CNN panel Tuesday night with host Don Lemon and Republican strategist Ana Navarro, where she also supported Trump's past comments that Mexican immigrants are rapists. Guess you can't teach old dogs new tricks, and brewers will be brewers. Speaking of Brewers, the city of Tucson is reportedly trying to lure the Milwaukee Brewers to use the city as their home for spring training. KVOA reported that Pima County officials have invited the Brewers to tour the Keno Sports Complex to see if there's any interest in relocating there. The complex is the former spring training home of the Chicago White Sox and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and it was called Tucson Electric Park. The White Sox left in 2008, and the Diamondbacks followed 2 years later. The Brewers were exploring a move to Gilbert if the town built a new stadium, but this doesn't appear to be happening. Gilbert Mayor Jen Daniels said the deal was too expensive because it would cost taxpayers $70 million for their $90 million stadium. Also, there was the fact that the stadium would get injured after a year and spend the next 5 years on the DL, while taxpayers would have to fulfill the contract. Baseball joke right there. The Arizona Supreme Court ruled that it will continue to allow experts to testify about domestic violence victims and abusers, that trial judges must be careful and not allow evidence that could paint defendants as offenders. The ruling said that testimony about characteristics of offenders could imply that a defendant was guilty, even if that testimony was part of a description of the victim's behavior. The Supreme Court said that trial judges should consider each part of an expert's testimony as well as the whole testimony. The case came about when Mark Haskey Jr. claimed that he didn't get a fair trial because jurors heard an expert witness who described the behavior of the adult victim of domestic abuse. Haskey argued that the testimony suggested to the jury that because he has certain characteristics common to abusers, then he must have committed the crime. But the prosecution presented loads of evidence proving that Haskey regularly assaulted his girlfriend and had a recording of the telephone conversation where he threatened to kill if she cheated on him. Next week, the Supreme Court We'll hear a case on whether murder trials should talk about the negative effects of being murdered. Ooh, this is a good one. I want to take a moment to talk to you about the program you're watching right now. Here at 5 on 20 News, we're undertaking a new kind of citizen journalism. We're going to give you the news as we see it, and we want more people to speak up with us. Clearly, we need more people because I'm here all by myself right now. We need writers, hosts, anchors, camera people, the sound people, the whole gamut. The times require a new way of informing ourselves, so join us. Do it now. Email us at creativetucson.org to get involved. And then if you email us, maybe next week, there'll be somebody here with me. And if you think there's a story we're missing, a person we should interview, an upcoming event, or you have any news tips for us at all, shoot us an email at creativetucson.org. We are here from you, and we want to cover all stories from all points of view, so don't be strangers. Now we're going to do, now I'm going to do national and international news. At least 13 people were killed and 50 wounded when a van collided with pedestrians in a popular tourist area of Barcelona. Witnesses stated that the driver weaved back and forth, clearly trying to hit as many people as possible around 6 p.m. Through the area near the large boulevard of Las Ramblas. The Islamic State claimed responsibility for the attack, as the ISIS news source Amaq News said that the attacker took his command from ISIS leader Abu Bakr al-Rabadi. He has encouraged followers to carry out acts of terror in countries fighting the Islamic State. But as usual, it's not clear whether they were actually involved with the attack or just took credit. Police arrested a suspect named Driss Aoukabar, a 28-year-old Moroccan citizen. Barcelona police say that Aoukabar rented the van and used it to plow into civilians who were treating him as a terrorist. If Spain is like the United States, then they'll also blame the pedestrians.
Bruh.
The Justice Department is coming under fire from privacy and civil liberties advocates for requesting information on visitors to anti-Trump websites. The web hosting provider DreamHost is fighting a federal request for records, files, and other information on the site that was used to organize protests during Inauguration Day. Prosecutors say they are seeking information in connection with riots that broke out during the inauguration. Over 200 people were indicted on felony rioting charges in February, but privacy advocates say that the request could have chilling effects on free speech. DreamHost says that complying with the request would result in the company turning over about 1.3 million IP addresses of visitors to the site, disruptj20.org. The data could reveal when people visited the site, what page they looked at, and the operating systems they were using. The company is also being asked to hand over email content related to the site, which could identify people who communicated with the site's owners. DreamHost's lawyers tried to reverse the warrant, arguing that the request violates both First and Fourth Amendment rights, and it would violate the Privacy Protection Act. But the Justice Department stood its ground and filed a motion in July for DreamHost to turn over those materials. Groups such as the ACLU and the Computer Communications Industry Associations are calling upon Attorney General Sessions to stop the order. They're joining the politicians such as Florida Rep. Ted Deutsch and Fox News correspondent Judge Andrew Napolitano, who said that there are various serious constitutional problems with the request. He stated his point with a poem saying, "First they came for J20.org and I did nothing because I support Donald Trump. Then they came for HuffPost, but I did nothing because I'm a Republican. Then they came for Pornhub, but by that point, it was too late."
Bazinga.
Researchers say that they found the missing link in Dinosaur Evolution with an unusual vegetarian dinosaur with the silhouette of a velociraptor. The dinosaur's remains were found 13 years ago in Chile, and scientists say that it helps fill an evolutionary gap between two big dinosaur groups. When the Chileosaurus, as it was later named and debuted in 2015, it was lumped in together with theropods. These are meat-eating dinosaurs in the same family as the velociraptor and the T-Rex. While many could allites were similar with theropods. I'm not really sure what I'm trying to say right there. The Chelorasaurus had an inverted bird-like hip and flattened leaf-shaped teeth. Proof that it was vegetarian, the leaf-shaped teeth. These traits corresponded with the Ornithischia, which includes the Triceratops and the Stegosaurus. Scientists discovered that the Chelorasaurus lived about 150 million years ago, but much earlier than the time period in which theropods turned away from meat and became vegetarians. At that point, the dinosaurs began making the other dinosaurs feel guilty, which later caused it to be eaten by a T-Rex and eventually its extinction.
Goodbye,
You didn't know that, did you?
Goodbye,
Well, now you know. Probiotic bacteria could protect newborns from infection, according to a recent report published in the Journal of Nature. The report found that Asian households had lower levels of newborn infections and traced it back to a diet consisting of kimchi, pickles, and other fermented vegetables. Doctors in India have begun treating sepsis, which kills 600,000 children per year, with probiotics. Dr. Pinka Pingari of the University of Nebraska said he's been studying the effects of probiotics on newborn health for 20 years. He analyzed over 280 strains of the bacteria to see which would be most effective against sepsis. In the end, he found that the strain called Lactobacillus plantarum worked best, and was later used in a wide-scale study in rural India. His team was shocked by how well it worked. Babies who ate the microbes for a week, along with some sugars to feed the microbes, had a 40% drop in their risk of death from sepsis. The probiotics also help ward off other types of infections, such as those in the lungs, respiratory infections. Respiratory infections dropped 30%. Panangari estimates that each probiotic treatment costs about $1 per baby and can be manufactured in a very simple setting. Scientists say that using bacteria to fight bacteria occurs because probiotic bacteria uses up all the resources in the gut and changes the environment. It also produces a compound that strengthens the wall of the intestine, acting as a barrier to prevent harmful bacteria from entering. Basically, probiotics is the Trump supporter of bacteria. The Trump administration's proposal to privatize air traffic control would add almost $100 billion to the federal deficit over the next 10 years, according to a report by the Congressional Budget Office, or CBO. The initial estimate of the CBO stated that the plan would add a little over $20 billion to the deficit if air traffic control systems were transferred to the government control, from government control to nonprofit. But the estimate was before necessary tax changes were made to the bill, and when it was with the House Rules of Committee. Democrats demanded a revised estimate, which is when the $100 billion figure was released. The bill was approved by the House committee, but has not been brought to the floor yet. The Federal Aviation Administration's legal authority expires at the end of September, when a decision would need to be made about their fate. Congress plans to privatize the decision and leave it up to a for-profit corporation. You could be forgiven for not realizing, but that insane press conference from Tuesday, the one where Trump equated white supremacists with peaceful protesters, well, that press conference was actually called because he was signing another executive order. But there were no fawning audience and show and tell with the president's signature, even though the statement was eventually signed. The executive order rolls back Obama-era rules that increased flood projections for infrastructure projects. The rule reversal comes as part of what Trump thought would be Infrastructure Week, where he hoped to advance his infrastructure agenda. Looks like that might need to wait another week or so. The Obama-era rules were put into place to protect roads and bridges from rising sea levels and other consequences of climate change. The executive order was meant to protect taxpayers' dollars spent on projects in areas that are prone to flooding, such as New Orleans and parts of Florida. Obama signed the order in 2015, but the changes have not taken effect. Not that it matters, because the rule was scrapped in an effort to slash the time it takes to approve new infrastructure projects, according to the Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. Supporters of the rule say that it would protect lives by putting new roads and buildings on safer ground and protecting financial investments in the project. But some business leaders have protested that it would increase the cost of construction. However, they might have neglected to factor in the cost of building floating islands.
Bruh.
Oh, that's it. We're done. Hey, this was 5 on 20 News. My name is Rich Aguirre. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook account. You can find all the latest Creative Tucson content. You're going too fast. You can check out all the latest Creative Tucson content there. Feel free to bother us at info@creativetucson.org. And thanks for watching. Stay alive, Tucson. That got a huge laugh when I said you were going too fast. No, you were.